Why do angels in the New Testament visit people and then tell them not to freak out? Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. And you would imagine that angels could just visit people in ways that don't cause them to freak out. But for whatever reason, we always have angels trying to calm people down. And the reason is that the New Testament authors who are crafting these narratives are incorporating some literary imagery that they are borrowing from the Hebrew Bible. And specifically, some early Hebrew Bible narratives about humans being visited by some kind of divine entity. And in all these narratives, the humans are terrified they're going to die, but they manage to survive. We see this, for instance, in Genesis 16 with Hagar. We see it in Exodus 3 with Moses. We see it in Judges 6 with Gideon, and in Judges 13 with Manoah and his wife. And the interesting thing about every single one of these narratives is that in the story, that divine visitor is identified both as a messenger of God and as God themselves. So it's not clear exactly what's going on here. And as I argue in my book, Adonai's Divine Images, these stories probably originally narrated visitations on the part of God themselves. This is why the people are terrified they're going to die, because of what it says in Exodus 33. No one can see me and live. Looking directly at God's face is deadly. And so these people are afraid to look directly at God. Now, somewhere along the way, God's direct physical presence and interaction with humanity became theologically uncomfortable. You didn't like the idea of a God who could sit down next to the campfire and enjoy a succulent Israelite meal with a human. And so what they did was go in and write the word malach, angel, before the name Adonai or the title Elohim. Not in every place, though. And what this gives you is a narrative that seems to go back and forth between talking about God or their angel interacting with humans. And what this does is muddies the theological water a little bit to allow for God's immanence, but also to protect from the notion that God could interact directly and physically with humanity. And we even have another passage in Exodus that seems to be trying to account for how this can be. So in Exodus 23, verses 20 and 21, God tells the Israelites, I'm sending an angel before you to guide you on the way. Don't disobey him. Don't tick him off, because he doesn't have to forgive your transgressions, because my name is in him. And as I argue in my book, this probably is a means of trying to account for how the angel can identify as God. As the authorized bearer of the divine name which indwells the angel can do what only God is supposed to be able to do, and the angel can even say, as they do in Exodus 3:6, I am the God of your father. And this way, the interpolation is obscured. It's no longer uncomfortable to have this weird conflation of identities. Oh, it's just because the angel bears God's name. And that is innovated on more once we get into Greco-Roman period Judaism, and then into Christianity, and then into Rabbinic Judaism. But what we have in the Hebrew Bible is stories about God themselves, who is so shiny that they are deadly, visiting with humans, and then later editorial changes suggesting, oh, this might just be the angel. And then once we get into the New Testament, the authors want to tell their stories in a way that mirrors what's going on there. So angels who are now identified as Gabriel or somebody who is definitely distinct from God themselves is saying, whoa, whoa, don't freak out. I'm here to help. And really all that is borrowing this literary motif, this literary imagery from these interpolated narratives from the Hebrew Bible. And that is why angels in the New Testament have to tell people, don't be afraid. It's because the literary motif that they're borrowing originally involved visitations from God themselves, who is evidently a lot freakier. And the fit for this video has been the goddess Aurora Monroe, aka Storm.